So I might as well start this meeting. There we go. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Healdsburg Sunrise. We typically have our craft talk presenter give the inspiration, and we may or may not have time today for Bob Mosby to be the presenter, but he also mentioned he wouldn't be on right away. So I decided to glean some words of wisdom from him from his article. I don't know how many of you saw Sunday's close to home commentary from Bob in the Press Democrat. It was about PTSD. And here are a few words from that article that I thought were pretty relevant, considering what I've been hearing from our members and friends lately. If you have noticed that people seem more upset lately and less civil, you are most likely right. The following are some of the symptoms of people who have experienced PTSD: irritability or aggression, risky or destructive behavior, hypervigilance, heightened startle reaction, difficulty concentrating, difficulty sleeping, decreased interest in activities, feeling isolated. Do any of those symptoms feel familiar to you? If so, you're not alone. Many are experiencing them along with you. At this time in the cumulative PTSD, and he says cumulative because of the year after year of fires, the bad air quality, the COVID, just trauma occurring to people in our lives whom we love, and even those we don't know, watching the things going on in our country. So he refers to this as cumulative PTSD that we are all likely experiencing to various degrees. Please be kind to everyone. Go out of your way to understand and not judge. And if you need help, ask for it. So I really thought that was a timely perspective, and I thank Dr. Bob for his contribution. So with that, Colleen, would you please introduce visiting Rotarians and guests?
I shall. So I know for sure we have Sam Ponts. Is that how you pronounce your last name, Sam?
Yeah, that's right. Thanks.
Okay. From Planned Parenthood, and also E.B. Troast. Is that how that is pronounced?
I just saw them in the meeting. E.B. Troast.
Troast. Okay. Thank you for the correction. They're from Planned Parenthood, and I don't see Kathryn Hecht or Lisbeth Perez. They were supposed to join us too, but I think that is it. I'm looking on my sheet across but I don't see any other guests. So welcome, ladies, and good morning.
Thanks, Colleen. Yeah, Kathryn Hecht will be giving us a brief update after around 8 o'clock or a little before 8 on this year's Alexander Valley Film Festival. So she will be coming on. And Lisbeth Perez thought she might join us. She's from Corazon, but we will see. So at this time, let's call for some committee reports. I know that Andy, Chris Cameron, and Bert, we're all going to mention something. So we just need to allow time at 7:15 for Sam and E.B. to start their presentation. So Chris Cameron.
So I just wanted to mention the Rotary Youth Exchange Program, and that we're in the process of, we certainly are looking for applicants, candidates to be a part of this program. And some of the dates are coming up pretty quickly. So we're putting the information at the high school, and we just look forward to anybody else that knows of anybody that would be interested in the Rotary Youth Exchange Program to either share mine or Andy's contact information, and we gladly get in touch to get an application to them and help them with that application.
And probably, Chris, we also would be interested in finding host families.
Host families, absolutely, yes. Mm-hmm.
And Samantha and E.B.'s presentation coming up soon will be timely for those of us who might want to have young people living in our homes.
Mhm.
All right, anything else, Chris, on that?
No, and all this is predicated on, of course, with what's going on for us all, meaning the COVID. But we're moving forward with hopes that, this all can move forward. We always have that in the back of our mind, but thinking positive and moving forward.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Andy, would you like to mention anything about our beloved golf tournament?
Excuse me, the golf tournament is going really well. We have approximately 17 foursomes signed up. We still have till the end of the month. If you haven't registered, please do so and continue to share the information with your friends, neighbors, kids, partners, whoever. Besides the tournament, we also have the auction is online. Both are accessible through our club website. Thank you.
Great. And then Bert, did you want to talk about the socials?
Yes, good morning. I think that the reviews are coming back mixed, and I think there's a lot of rational concern about being pushed into doing something that people aren't comfortable with. So all I really want to do today is to say, take your time. I'm not going to shuffle the groups on October 1 like I had initially indicated, because things are just going slower than they might have otherwise. And don't confuse my optimism for a push. And I want people to be safe and healthy, and we'll figure it out. If the groups are too big, gather smaller. We'll just kind of take our time and see how it goes. But the idea is to get to know other members of the club that we might not have otherwise had an opportunity for, and not to do something unhealthy or to feel uncomfortable. So just relax and take it as it comes.
Thanks, Bert. I know the Purple Gang has organized their social for this week, and the Yellow team is close with the folks who are comfortable getting together. So just do your best. And I know Archie has an idea maybe for the next round. We'll do a picnic where we're all outdoors, far apart, hopefully in continued sunshine. So that is, those were the committee reports. Are there any other folks with committee reports they wanted to throw in there?
No, but I just wanted to mention really quickly before they speak that today somebody has a special birthday. His name might sound like Mark. I'm not sure, but I think it's Mark. Mark's birthday's today. See him down there excited about it? So happy birthday.
Yeah, we're going to go dancing in the streets. Yep.
Ooh, where? Let me know. I will join you. A friend of mine, her Pilates teacher said, you need to dance. We all need to dance. So
we're going to do it.
Okay, while we have a couple more minutes, I got an email or a voicemail from George Dutton the other day. He is looking for a referral for a house sitter / dog caretaker. When he goes away, he needs somebody to come to his house and just make sure the things are cool, plants are watered, the dog gets walked. And he's trying to not rely too much on his family members. I have someone who may be able to do that, but if anyone has someone who they know who loves to do that kind of stuff, please get in touch with George. He asked me to make an announcement at the meeting today. So with that, let's see. I think maybe Sam, I can go ahead and start to introduce you and E.B. Does that work?
Yeah, sounds wonderful. And let me know when you'd like me to screen share too.
Okay,
Should I
well, let me,
maybe.
I'll go. Oh, you know what? One more thing. We have a minute. Will Seppi, are you on? I saw you on there somewhere. Will was going, he said he forgot last week to talk about the NEED program, and he was going to update. Yeah, you have a minute to do that, Will?
Yes, thank you, President Nancy and fellow Jester Sunrise Rotarians. I realized after last week's meeting that I made a big faux pas, and I did not include a slide in there on the Cousteau Need Program, which the Sunrise Club generously contributed to. And since starting that program back at the end of March, early April, which we're continuing to do each week, your contribution has been earmarked and dedicated to the Tuesday delivery to Corazon food distribution, which happens at the community center. So that started off with about a high of 350 families or so each week coming through there. And it is tapered down a little bit and holding right around 200, 250. So each week we're baking specialties, especially for that distribution. And then our truck is delivering it there and helping distribute it to those families here in need in town. So again, thank you for your generous contribution that's going to that cause, a great cause of which the need is continues to be great. And I received even an email yesterday from the Redwood Empire Food Bank, just noting how critical the continued support has been, especially now with the ongoing fire situation. So again, thank all of you for your generosity in making that program viable. And
so
for that, I will also offer up a fine or a recognition or whatever we're calling them these days. And President Nancy, I'd like to put $50 towards the polio plus. I think now more than ever with the COVID-19 matter going on, I think highlighting and keeping the foot on the throttle to eradicate polio is ever more important. So I would like to make a contribution to the club as Polio Plus Fund.
Wow, thank you. Yahoo! Getting rid of that polio. And we can still contribute our $5 for the, more than that if we want to continue that program, correct?
Correct. So it continues to be ongoing, and we continue to get support from people from all over the place. So any contribution continues to be very helpful for that. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Will. Okay, well, at this time, I would like to introduce my daughter-in-law, Samantha Ponts. Samantha grew up in Nome, Alaska, and she met my son in Wasilla, back at 2012, maybe, when he was flying up there as a bush pilot. And Sam was going to school and completing her degree in health education from the University of Alaska. She'd also studied in Australia for a while. And Sam is a cross-country runner, and also she coached the high school team up in Upper Lake, I believe. And while she was at one of her track meets, her water broke, and she was featured in the Press Democrat for that momentous occasion. And she married my son in 2014, and they have my favorite little granddaughter, Daisy Mo. So Sam and her, I believe it's her boss, E.B, are going to be speaking to us about how to have sensitive conversations with youth. And Sam and E.B are, health education specialists of Mendocino and Sonoma County Planned Parenthood of Northern California. So Sam, with that, I will turn it over to you, and looks like you're muted.
Unmuted. Thanks, Nancy. That was a little walk down memory lane.
All right. Well, thank you all for having us here today. And I just adore that introduction. I feel like it's so rare that introductions include stories about water breaking, and maybe more need to, to really humanize this time of isolation that many of us are experiencing. But anyway, my name is E.B, and I work with Planned Parenthood Northern California, and I have the great privilege of working with Sam. So I'm located right here in Sonoma County, and we're thrilled to be here with you all today. So today we're going to be talking about how to have conversations with young people about sexuality and sexual health. Oftentimes these are labeled as sensitive conversations, as these can be difficult topics, and talking about things that don't normally come up in a lot of households. So we'll be talking about that today. I'll also put a little plug. We do have an upcoming webinar on this topic that's going to be an 1.5-hour long deep dive into this. So if you all or anyone you know might be interested, we'll go ahead and put that into the chat so you have that available if you want to do a little bit more on this. I would love to just get a sense of folks in this space. Maybe you can put into the chat, who are the young people in your lives and about what are their ages, just so we can tailor our examples to be a little bit more relevant to the young people that you might be having conversations with. And if there's no particular young people that you're having conversations with, that's fine. You can just put, you know, you're just here for a fun time talking about conversations. Okay, great. And we'll just let a couple of those come in while Sam orients us a little bit to Planned Parenthood. Great, so I'm seeing 12 and 14, 20, 24. Yeah, these conversations never end. So for those of you who have adult children as well, yes, these conversations still continue and just change. Okay, great. So a little bit, I love that, 6, 7, and 8 little monsters. So as Sam reconnects the screen, we'll just tell you a little bit about Planned Parenthood Northern California. How many of y'all, let me just see with like a raise of hands, how many of y'all are familiar with Planned Parenthood Northern California, have, you know, the services we offer, anything like that? Okay, great. I'm seeing lots of hands going up. That's awesome. So Sam, could you give us a little overview?
Sorry, folks, I got disconnected. So quick overview of Planned Parenthood Northern California and the services we provide. So PP NorCal provides cancer screening, birth control, safer sex supplies, test. And yes, we are open right now for many services and through that are mostly delivered, some are delivered through telehealth. We also provide comprehensive sex education. That is what we do, our role as health educators. We provide comprehensive, values-neutral, age-appropriate education in classrooms and within the community. Our presentations and material are compliant with the California Healthy Youth Act. This took effect in January 2016 and requires school districts to provide students with comprehensive, accurate, and unbiased sexuality education at least once in middle school and once in high school. So we help schools stay compliant with meeting that requirement. And we might have already mentioned it, but the closest health center to folks here in Healdsburg is in Santa Rosa. We can certainly share that contact information if anybody would like it. So Lance, I think we set up a poll. Here we are.
So yeah, if you could all just let us know, who is the first person to talk to you about the topics of sex, sexuality, relationships, or sexual health? And as we wait for those to come in, maybe some of you all are taking a little trip down memory lane and reflecting on that experience and what that was like. I put into the chat for folks the link to our upcoming training on how to talk to kids about sex and sexuality, and then also the address and contact information for the closest health center, which is in Santa Rosa. Lance, how are we doing? Did we get some votes on that poll?
Oh yeah, I'm seeing them here, E.B. It looks like about 59% of the group said friends, and then it was parents or caregivers and teachers.
Okay, fantastic.
So mostly friends.
Yeah, this is quite common. Okay, there we go. There's the results for everyone to see, that these tend to be the predominant sources of information or conversation about sex and sexuality. And there's merits to having conversations with all of these different folks. Some provide connection and emotional support. Some have more accurate information than others. So as we're thinking about what it's like to talk to young people about sex and sexuality, whether they're 7 or 8 years old or 28 years old, it can be helpful for us to reflect on what our experience was like. And oftentimes people can remember this because when someone talks to a young person about sex and sexuality, it sends messages that last a lifetime. Even if it's uncomfortable or awkward or anything like that, it can send messages of care and concern and love and appreciation that really does last a lifetime. So we're going to explore a little bit about what an askable adult is and some ways to become an askable adult.
All right, so being an askable adult is conveying an attitude of sincerity, honesty, and openness. So it means that you are approachable and you make space for the young people in your life to come to you with questions. Maybe you knew this, but what we've learned is that young people actually prefer to talk to their parents about these topics, sex, sexual health, relationships. Research supports that parents are their preferred source of information on these topics. So, but we know that there are certainly barriers that prevent parents and caretakers from talking to folks about these subjects. In the chat box, if you'd like, go ahead. Maybe you've experienced these barriers. If you're comfortable sharing, we'd love to read them. I'm going to go over just a few barriers and maybe a strategy to overcome that. And I'll check the chat box in just a moment. All right, so certainly a barrier to talking to young people is big feelings. So feelings of fear, embarrassment, or shame, insecurity. And one strategy sort of to approach this is to name that big emotion, name the big emotion and communicate a little at a time, right? So it could be a conversation that happens many, many, many times over a period of that person's, life. Certainly another barrier is not having a role model, right? So find new role models. That could be certainly a suggestion, but reflect on the sex ed that you did receive and what worked and what did not. So a little bit of self-reflection around this area. Not knowing the right answer, this is super common barrier. And it's okay if you don't know. Certainly, we don't always know the answer either. And so we research and practice. Sometimes a barrier is difficulty determining age and developmentally appropriate messages. So talk early and talk often. Watch their cues, and research does support that giving information about sexual health does not encourage young people to have sex. And another barrier, I'll see if anybody brought any up, is cultural or religious beliefs. So if you are the parent, this might be a good time to talk about values and beliefs with your child and acknowledge contradictions, certainly naming differences from maybe what you believe or what your religion or culture believes and the community. I cannot see the chat box. E.B, is there anything that I should address?
Yeah, we just had age-appropriate words and descriptions can be a challenge to determine. And then also sex in the time of COVID. Great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Very timely one. I will put a plug. So Planned Parenthood Northern California does Facebook Lives every Friday at 1 p.m. And we have one that we'll put the link to that in there that talks about sex and COVID, because it's a whole new layer of safer sex. And there's a lot more to include in that dialogue than maybe what folks have been used to talking about around sexual health and safety now that we have COVID to think about. We also have in here the importance of intimacy. Someone chatted in.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for sharing. And an upcoming webinar too, again, that we've already mentioned, but how to talk to kids about sex. If you are a parent or caregiver, please consider joining it.
Okay, so we're going to go over some various types of questions. I'd love to see from you all, how many folks with a hand have ever received a question from a young person that you were like, I just don't know what to do with this, or you felt a little surprised or shocked, in any way didn't just have the perfect answer at the ready. All right, thanks. I see a couple of, hands going up there. That's such a common experience. And one thing we can do, and maybe you can even remember being that young person asking a question and maybe surprising the adult in your life with that question. But one tool that we have for understanding how to approach answering these questions is really figuring out what type of question it is. So we'll go ahead and provide you with an overview of the common types of questions and some tips on how to answer those. So they're not all going to fit in these categories, but most will. So the first one is just a straightforward request for information. So these are the kind of questions where a young person or a child in your life just wants information about something. So this could be something like, where can I get birth control? Or what's an erection? Or what's a wet dream? Things like that, depending on the age, they may ask questions like that. So something you can do is provide them with facts, provide them with information. Sometimes it can be tempting to give less than accurate information to make it age appropriate. What research shows is providing accurate information and providing a little bit at a time is going to be the best approach for this. It's also okay to say, I don't know, if you don't know the answer. The next type of question are the am I normal questions. So many folks just want to know that they are normal, that what they're experiencing or feeling or desire is okay, is typical. So these can be questions that really are looking for validation or to know that they fall somewhere within the bell curve of normalcy, right? That what they're experiencing is common. So from a young person going through puberty, they might ask something like, all my friends' voices have changed, but mine hasn't changed yet. Is that okay? Is that normal? The next type is permission seeking. And this is where young people are asking permission for validation about how they're feeling. This could be something like maybe a teenager asking, is it okay to date at this age? Or is it okay to to start having crushes now? So some things we can do are establish boundaries and let them know what your family values are so they can make decisions based on those values and form their own values. The next one is personal questions. So this type of question is, these aren't questions that we as health educators would answer. We don't share personal information, but you all as parents or grandparents, you might share personal information. You get to determine if that's appropriate for you in the relationship you have with your young person. So these are things like maybe asking you about what your relationships were like or what you believe. So looking for your own personal information. The next type of question is, can I trust you? And Sam, I can't see them popping up, so I don't know if there's something on your end or if it's on my end. But I'm happy to just keep talking through a couple of these. So the next one is like the can I trust you question. So these are questions that either young people might already know the answers to, and they want to see if you have the answer and if you're going to be honest with them. So this can be any of those other questions, but they're really just testing you to see if you will provide them with honest information and accurate information. This could also be feeling out where your values are without directly asking you your values. One we see a lot with young people is when a young person says something like, my friend started having sex. What do you think about that? Or my friend is dating someone, or my friend came out as gay to his mom. What do you think about that? And they're testing your reaction because maybe something like that is going on for them. So here's a time where we want to be honest and share values and really think about, is there a question behind the question here? And the last one, the sixth type of question is a shock question. And this one, these are usually questions, the ones that like turn our heads or we're surprised they asked. I feel like oftentimes when we talk to parents, these are the questions that come up when you're waiting in line at the grocery store, right? When other people can hear your young person asking this and you're like, oh my goodness gracious, everyone knows and everyone's waiting to see how I handle this situation. So these are ones where it encourages us to reflect on our own feelings of shock and take a breath and remember, it may be shocking to us, but what information can we give here? So taking a moment, breathing, and then either saying, okay, well, I'll answer this when we're not in the grocery store trying to check out with our groceries. Like, I'll talk to you about this in the car, or saying like, yeah, I can give you an answer. Here's a couple pieces of information for you. So those are the common types of questions. And hopefully, Sam, we can share a model on how to respond to some of these questions.
Yes. Are you able to see the screen now? No.
I'm still seeing the same thing. I don't know if other folks are.
Still
Yeah, we're
just three
seeing the
bullets.
top three.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to stop share and then share. I know we're getting close to time, so I promise we will. Yeah, sorry, folks. So the model, there's just one model that we use on how to respond to questions. And it's one way to become more askable, because it can be really helpful to have something to refer to when you're in the moment, not sure what to say. So the first step is affirm the asker. There we go, I can see that, E.B. And by doing this, we thank them for asking. Second step is identify the question. So those questions that E.B. just went over: request for information, am I normal, permission seeking, personal questions, can I trust you, and shock. Next step might be provide some facts. So it doesn't have to happen in the moment. You might have to do a little bit of research, but certainly definitions, statistics, specific suggestions, and then explore beliefs and values. So share your personal values if appropriate, to do so if you are the parent or caretaker, and explore a range of values and beliefs in that process. So we will show you, if we have time for maybe just one. These are anonymous questions that we receive in a classroom. Typically at the end of the class, we allow students to ask us anything, and it is anonymous. And so here's all of them, and I'll probably just provide an example for one, seeing as we are 2 minutes, so I respect your time. So what is an STD? What is HIV? So in that planning how to respond to questions, we would first affirm. We would say something like, great question. So many people have questions about this. You're not alone, or just something to thank them for asking the question. We would identify, this is a silent process, what type of question it was. So this one is pretty clearly a request for information, but it can certainly overlap with different other types of questions. But this one sounds like they're looking for information. So we then, at this point, we would provide some facts. We would say STIs are infections, they're super common, and they're passed from one person to another during sexual contact. We might say HIV stands for human immunodeficiency virus, and it's spread through unprotected sex. A little bit of information at a time, and then explore beliefs. So in a classroom, this is a great opportunity for us to discuss stigma, shame, and beliefs around STIs and HIV. So I apologize for speaking very fast to that. I would like to just mention that we have a great resource sheet that I will send to Nancy to share with you all, for folks to learn more about this, for folks to get more information. And that's as well as a reference to the webinars that we have already encouraged you to join us on. And am I missing anything there, E.B.?
I think that's it. If you all have any great resources that you've used with your children or grandchildren or the young people in your life, go ahead and put them in the chat to share those out. And these may be websites or books or pamphlets or organizations in the community that you've found to be really great supports. We always love when folks call us up and ask questions. So I'm sure there's other organizations that support you all and the children and grandchildren in your life. So please do share those. I think this is something that oftentimes parents and grandparents don't talk about. Like, I got this great book on sperm and eggs that my 8-year-old is just loving. But here's a place to start that conversation. So you can really have that dialogue and support each other with something that maybe we didn't have the best role models on or the best education on, but we can always, even if it was great, we can always improve to support our young people into healthier and more well futures. And I will put it out there that we do provide, this is what our sex ed classes look like for young people now. So if you have a young person in elementary, middle, or high school, and you want to make sure they're getting excellent sex ed, Sam mentioned the law that says they have to have sex ed. If their school isn't doing that, you can connect with us, we can connect with the school, help them get that together. So we make sure that they are complying and aligning with the law and they're getting excellent wellness information.
I wanted to back up a second. You do have a few minutes. 7:45 is the time that we would want to end this and move on, but so you still have a few minutes. One of the questions that was on that screen was, how do I know if someone loves me? How would you answer that? That gives I don't know, my heart just kind of flipped when I saw that. And I can imagine the kids get amazing things being told to them. You do blah, 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 if you love me, right?
Absolutely.
How
I would
you
definitely
answer?
like to, honor the space and know that this is tricky. There's really nothing easy about this. Everyone is going to have a different answer, especially for a question like that. It might be something where we have limited information, but we looked at this question as an opportunity to talk about healthy relationships and communication. So maybe mentioning the keys to a healthy relationship are respect, honesty, equality, right? And people show, and then around exploring beliefs, we could say people show love in many different ways, but people should always show love in healthy ways. That could certainly be one way to approach that question. E.B., if you have other suggestions.
Yeah, so I love the connecting it to healthy relationships. And oftentimes for young people, what we want to do is connect them with trusted adults in their lives. So we explore trust and what trust means and looks like, because unfortunately not every parent or guardian adult in a young person's life is a trustworthy person. So we want to make sure they have a good sense of that so they can go, hopefully everyone has an adult in their life they trust and they can talk to them. Because one thing we let them know is when you're in a relationship, it can sometimes be hard to see that relationship. So sometimes it takes, like what Sam was saying, a step back to explore what healthy relationships look like, and a conversation with the people who love you, who you trust and know love you, to explore what love looks like with someone else. So tapping into what they know love already looks like and feels like, and then apply this to this new relationship. Oftentimes we really segment out parent kind of love and sibling kind of love from romantic love, but there's a lot of the same elements there. They are different, but they have some of those same elements. So helping young people connect to what they already know. And I see Jay put in the chat here, what about abuse awareness? Yes, definitely. So we want them to know what the signs of an unhealthy or an abusive relationship are, so they can notice that if that's going on for their life or for someone in their that they love. Because again, sometimes it's really hard for young people and adults to see if they're in an abusive relationship. And it oftentimes does take that third party, that friend, that aunt, that uncle, that parent, whoever, to come in and say, hey, something's a little bit off here. And I want to talk to you about your relationship because I care about you and I love you. And those can be some really tough conversations, but we always want folks to know about abuse as well. So they can either change some of those unhealthy qualities, or if it is an abusive relationship, to end that relationship and be in a safer place. So hopefully that answers that question. But yes, these are the questions that don't have an easy answer. These are the hard ones that really encourage exploration. And usually that's with a trusted adult, which it seems like a lot of you folks are to young people in your lives. And this is the same question we may get from an 8-year-old or a 15-year-old or a 28-year-old or a 58-year-old. This is the kind of question that persists throughout time. So some of the questions we get in our middle school classes are the same questions we answer when we're talking to adults.
Great.
Any other questions for the 1 minute we have left?
I really appreciate learning about the depth and breadth of Planned Parenthood. I had no idea before I met Sam the educational aspect of things. So
I have a question. Sorry, Nancy, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to get it in before time. It feels like on the younger population, I'm talking about in the 20s, that there's more discussion about polyamorous relationships and other kinds of relationships, which I have, that's really a very challenging conversation to have with someone, especially when you personally don't have that background, but you want to be supportive and cautious about how to deal with that. And I feel like there's more of that coming up. People are very fluid. They're not really identifying one way or the other. So just any tips you have or areas we could go to get, information about how to have conversations about that.
Yeah, definitely. We'll make sure before Sam sends out the email, we'll make sure to put something on there about that. And so much here that the fluidity that young people today can experience and explore is just so different than many of us have experienced or had the ability to explore, because social norms are changing and the ability to talk about it is changing. I will say that a couple things as trusted adults, you can tap into what your own personal values are around that. And I would explore that value. And I really encourage folks to think about leading with hope and not fear. So sometimes when we hear about things like polyamorous relationships, and we've always grown up in a monogamous society, and that was our framework, we can have fears come up and instead think about, well, what's my hope for the young person? What do I want them to experience? What is that value at the core of that? And whether that's love or connection or respect, whatever that is, and lead with that in the conversation. And then also acknowledging those concerns so you can have an open dialogue about that. Usually we want to ask open-ended questions, have the person talk more than we're talking. So how does that feel to you? What is that like? What's that experience for you? Do you mind letting me into your life a little bit so I can understand more? And show that vulnerability are some things that we can do when different relationship styles and structures come up like that. And it's also okay to acknowledge when things are different. The soundbite of saying like, this is new to me, or I haven't really thought about this before, or this wasn't my experience, so I'm trying to learn so I can help you. And of course, our number one tip is always leading with love, because I know sometimes these conversations can get tricky, but always saying, I want to engage in this dialogue with you because I love you, because I care about you. It may be hard, but let's go ahead and try this. And I think that goes a long way for someone, especially if you've ever had a young person who's in that moment where they're eye rolling or they're disconnecting or they don't want to have the conversation or they're pushing back. Saying and reminding them, like, we're here because I love you and I care about you. Let's try and have this conversation. But we'll send some resources as well. Thanks, Colleen. That's such a great question.
Really good question.
Wow. It's a lot to think about. As you're talking, E.B., I'm thinking about our own Dr. Bob Mosby here, who presented a topic last week on unconscious bias. So,
I saw your meeting notes on that. Yeah.
Kind of digging into that. I mean, there's so much to think about. So thank you very much, E.B. and Sam, for a very helpful topic presentation. Because, no matter how old we are in these situations with people. I wanted to say thank you and to let you know that our club will be making a donation to our Polio Plus effort, International Rotary, to eradicate polio in your names. So for your presentation today. So I know Will made a nice contribution to Polio Plus early in the meeting, so we will continue to do that. So thank you both very much. I appreciate your involvement. So I know you have meetings to run off to here, so you can stay on or say goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. I totally appreciate it.
So I see we have Kathryn Hecht joining us. Hi, Kathryn. You are on mute. Why don't you go ahead and unmute? Oh, there you go. We're just moving from presentation to presentation. Kathryn has joined us in past years to talk about the Alexander Valley Film Festival, and she's going to give us about 10 minutes on this year's program. So if you're ready, Kathryn, I think Lance has given you permission to share your screen. We'll see how that works.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone. And I almost said welcome. This is such a funny environment we find ourselves in, but it's just really nice to see smiles and names and faces of people I know, and I'm glad you're all here and connected. It's so important that we keep getting together like this, even if it's this weird virtual thing. And that's what the Film Society has been up to, just so you know. We shut down, so, we got our lockdown orders on March 17th, and on March 22nd, we had our first virtual conversation, a filmmaker conversation. And so from March 22nd, we've been doing virtual programming. We've had art house screenings for rent that you go straight to our website and rent content that you can't yet get, let's say on Netflix or Amazon Prime. And then we've been having weekly conversations with filmmakers. And in doing that, our audience expanded, wouldn't you believe? Our internet, our web traffic went up almost 450%. And we welcomed thousands of new patrons and visitors to our programming. And so leveraging that and the quick pivot that we made to this virtual world, we decided to move forward with the 6th Annual Film Festival. Now, mind you, the trick here is that last year we decided we are moving permanently to April, May with the film festival because we're moving out of fire season. And we thought, well, we'll use this year to move out of fire season. It's like a first step. Ha, 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 ha. Best laid plans. But we had already been in this virtual space and moving, the industry is changing. It's not that it's changing because of the pandemic, it's changing because of the internet, and it's only accelerating because of the pandemic. But here we are, and so I just wanted to show you a little bit, a smidge of what we have with the festival this year. Normally we have probably 40, 45 films. We have about half that this year. We have 12 features. We have 9 short films. We have 18 student works. If that's not a testament to the growth of our educational programming, I don't know what is. We have 18 student works, and we also have an incredible 11 panels and Q&As with filmmakers, experts, really exciting stuff. So I'm going to share my screen and give you a little taste of what we're talking about here. And of course I have a gazillion tabs open. So here we go. This is the website of the Film Society. And for you to hop in here and see what's going on, best bet is just to click over here to the film festival. And all of the information is right here. So here are your pass and ticket options. Passes are much cheaper this year. We're not doing a bunch of parties and that kind of thing. So if you want to see all of the films and all of the panels, you're going to get an all access pass. If you don't really care about chatting and discussions and that kind of thing and just want good movies, you can watch all the films for $75. So we have the films listed here. We also have a complimentary student pass option, which we've started receiving applications for. And then we also have a downloadable brochure for people who are just not great at parsing through online. Let me give you a quick look of what that's going to look like. A little welcome letter, and then you get right into some synopses. And the way this works is all of these films are available Thursday morning at 9 a.m. In the back of this program, you'll see, and this is multiple places over the website, the only scheduling we have is with the panels and Q&As because they happen live. And then our pass holders will have access to the recordings of these things for 2 weeks until we release them to the public. Jill Hales and I are going to talk about Rafifi on opening night. Jill Hales, you may not know, film critic. She created her own major back at UCLA, and she's an excellent film critic. We have some really good LGBTQI discussions happening around film and around media. So yeah, this is really great to check out. Oh my gosh, sorry, of course the dog is barking. So that's that. But when I'm here on the website, another option to consider, we do have 3 add-on dinners that we're doing, and these funds are going to the restaurants. I mean, we have a little here that's coming back because they want us to have a fundraiser, but we're paying their expenses. So it's just a way to keep connected in the community, keep the economy flowing in this little way. So what you can, I'm going to show you two more things. Here, when you go to events and tickets, if you like poking around online rather than looking at a brochure, and I'm looking at you all here, I could look here. Under events and tickets, you have the ability to sort features, shorts, panels. Let's go to the shorts. And you can look at everything here. What's going to happen is if you buy an individual ticket, you're going to our events and tickets tab and buying your individual ticket. Say, I want to go to just the shorts, great. You get to read about the shorts here, what's involved. Included in the ticket price is the panel, great, for an individual ticket. And boom, it's that simple. You buy your ticket. What happens is that you then get an email and an invitation into what is called our patron portal. This is how, I'm going to show you how we're going to watch our films this year. An individual ticket will get the access just to that film, or just to that panel. Our pass holders go into this feature. It's an invitation. You'll get a link, you use your email and you create a password, and then here you are in the patron portal. And when you come in for the first time, you get a welcome message. Isn't that fun? And then this is how it looks. We have some how-to videos of how to cast to your TV from your computer. This is a little hello video from me. Anybody who has a pass or a ticket, by next Tuesday, you're going to get an invitation to a Zoom meeting where we will do one-on-one tech solutions with you. We've bought a bunch of HDMI cables too. We can drop one off at your house if you call us on Thursday and like, oh my God, I can't watch all these on my computer. We'll get you set up. We're not in New York City. This is Sonoma County. We can figure this out. So here's how this works. We have our short films lined up. We have our features A through Z. This film right here, this critical thinking film with Jay Leguizamo. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's based on a true story about a chess team in Miami. So great. When things are ready, none of this is open yet except for our student shorts. I go into the student shorts. Oh, I see this playlist includes. I play. And when it's available, it plays. As a matter of fact, I think we'll do this one. And it's just like Netflix. It's like Netflix or YouTube. Super simple. So that's it. I just wanted you to see, I will stop sharing. I just wanted you to see the portal. I wanted you to see how to get to the films. It's a great array of films, and I will tell you that our theme this year is justice. We have really embraced our social justice roots that were baked into our organization from the beginning. We're also doing a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion work in the organization. We're getting ready to hire a consultant and start that. We want the Film Society to reflect the whole community and to tell the stories of our community. And this festival is definitely a representation of that. So thank you for giving me the time. It's great to see you all. I hope to see you at the festival. It's an invitation to just put everything else down and retreat into film, food, and wine and discussion for a weekend. Oh, and there's a question. No, so all of the dinners, the question is about buying a dinner package. Do you watch the film at the restaurant? This is 100% virtual. So dinners, you would go and pick up your dinner, go home, have a nice dinner, and then tune in for a panel that night because the films are available from Thursday to Sunday. What's scheduled are panels and discussions. Everything else is kind of a self-directed, if you will. Rafifi is the Jules Dassin classic caper. It's a French film. It's the caper of a group of guys pulling off the heist. And just a classic example, set the scene. It's also film noir. So it set the scene for not only film noir, but it also, all the capers that came after it. So we're going to be talking about that on Wednesday night. And are the students' films done by locals? Yes, as a matter of fact, the films came from classroom work in 2020. Believe it or not, we got some done. Classroom work from Geyserville, Healdsburg, and Santa Rosa High. And then we have a couple of films from our summer film workshop. And we have a couple of films from our OK Boomer video class that we had in early summer. So 18 student works. How exciting.
Dan Erickson, did you have a question? You were waving your hand. You're muted.
What is the length of time that you have to watch these movies? You said Thursday through Sunday?
Yes, Dan, good question.
So you've got all these movies and you have to watch them in 4 days?
Yes. So think, when you go to a festival, a movie will screen twice maybe. So you have to go to that screening or that screening. What we're trying to do is give everybody access. So if you could see maybe, I don't know, 6 films throughout the weekend or 10 films throughout the weekend, if you wanted to do that all on Friday, you can do that on Friday now. And so what we're seeing in a lot of other festivals is they will make films available for 24 hours. We've opened that window to 4 days so that people have flexibility to kind of build their playlist for themselves.
So what's the date?
Thursday, September 24th, a week from tomorrow, everyone, a week from tomorrow. And one technical thing, Rafifi opens Wednesday at 9 a.m. because Jill and I are going to talk about it Wednesday night. So that is from Wednesday to Sunday. Everything else is from Thursday to Sunday. Yes, Mark.
In the future, will there be a virtual component to the film festival after COVID? Is that the plan, and will it be remain completely virtual? What's sort of the plan for the future after COVID? Any ideas?
That's a great question, and I would imagine that there will probably be a virtual component moving forward. I would hope that we come back in person because I think there's something really special about having that cinematic experience, right? That you can't recreate no matter how great a screening room you have in your house. That cinematic experience of togetherness. But I do think that what we've learned, about access to, there are plenty of people who are homebound for various reasons who now have access to more content than they've ever had before. And I think that we have to kind of pay attention to those kinds of things too. We're learning a lot in this. The industry, again, is changing. But I think it's a little bit like, oh my gosh, why weren't we doing this before,
Dan, one more question.
One more quick question. So in 21, are you planning to move to April, May?
Yes, the dates will be April 28th to May 2nd, and that will become a permanent time slot.
Well, Kathryn, thank you. I know for myself, I've always enjoyed the films through this film festival, so hopefully everybody gets this opportunity.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
Thank you for getting in touch with us. So good luck, and we'll see you at the movies. Right?
See you at the movies, everyone.
Okay. So moving right along, I'm going to try to save 5 minutes for Bob's craft talk. But before we do that, my absolutely amazing video is not going to be seen today. So I will show you what I wanted to show you. This is what we're all going to look like on September 26th when we show up at Memorial Beach at 9 o'clock in the morning from 9 to 11. You will be armed with a garbage picker upper, gloves, mask, trash bag. Oh, and you can wear your own Caltrans vest and wear your t-shirt. If you need a t-shirt, we have some. We have 5 2XLs of these beautiful Rotary shirts. We have 3 larges and 1 white in large. So let me know if you need a shirt. I'll bring those. So please sign up. I think I sent the link to the webpage for the cleanup on the 26th. Right? Anybody, anything else on that? Oh, Edward, you wanted to talk about cleaning up Lake Sonoma.
There's a possibility for those that are interested in doing an initial cleanup that under the western side of the bridge on Rock Pile, going down those steep stairs, my son and I were fishing a couple weeks ago, and there's full of cans, garbage, metal. It probably with 5-6 people in 2 hours, we can get it clean up. And there's a dumpster there to put the stuff in, and then items that could be recycled, such as the cardboard, metal can go to the recycling center, transport center in Healdsburg, and then cans and bottles can maybe go down to the place in Windsor and get a little bit of money from the club. So possibility we can do that in October, and then Nancy will send out possible dates. I would suggest like 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
Okay, there are lots of places to clean up around here, so hang on to your garbage picker-upper. I picked that one up at Garrett's for $16. I think they will be given to us at Memorial Beach. So just show up with your Rotary gear on. Thank you, Edward. Jay.
I'll send that around to people. I think it's going to be easier. I'll just send it on an email.
Oh, your presentation about the...
Yeah, I'll send it on email.
Okay. Well, Jay just has some things to talk to us about. He'd like to get some wood for his preschool project, and it's very cool. So we will look forward to that. Jay also worked with Pam Moulton to donate the surplus of our pens that we had purchased for the 4th of July project for the Healdsburg Center for the Arts. So our club, how many boxes of those pens did we donate?
200.
So that's, she was thrilled to get those. So
when I will meet her over at the Art Center and get a picture of the kids using them, and then we'll send that off to the donors so that we are continuing to thank them.
Okay, that's a great way to use that. We're also exploring ideas about Halloween to see if there's a way that our club can help with that. So we'll be talking to our board once we get more information. Just in case you all have this desire, District 5130 is looking for the 2021/22 district governor for our district. And the requirement is that you need to be a past president and have been in Rotary for at least 7 years, I think. So Larry Mills, you're off the hook because you're a president-elect. So if anyone has a burning desire, Larry Orr, you fit that bill. Lee Morton, you fit that bill. District governor would look good on you, gentlemen. So just letting you know. And our own district governor, Doug Johnson, who is quite a crack up and a Boston Patriots fan, he will be conducting our meeting on the 23rd. So I would encourage you all to be at that meeting to get to know Doug. Let's see. What else do we have on our list here? We're moving through this pretty well today. Bob Mosby, would you like to give a 5-minute craft talk? We're all getting to know you so well between the unconscious bias and your fabulous commentary in last week's Press Democrat.
Well, thank you for that. If it's okay with you, I'd like to postpone the craft talk until another time, just because I have to be out of here in just a few seconds. But I just wanted to say that September 26th is going to be a busy day for the group because that's also the day of the first Rotary wine tasting group, which is going to be at Steve Rude's Winery. So everybody make your plans for that. Let's hope nothing disastrous happens between now and then that would cancel it again. But I'm forging ahead, and I'll just pass along a distressing piece of news for the people in the wine world that I heard yesterday. I have a client that owns a very important Pinot vineyard, and he was told by the people that he sells his grapes to that they are not picking any Pinot in Russian River this year. And I also heard yesterday from somebody who owns a vineyard that Costa Brown, who he sells his grapes to, are not picking any Pinot Noir in Russian River because of smoke taint. So if this turns out to be true for what has happened, it's disastrous for wineries. I don't know if that affects you or not, Diane, but I know that it's pretty disastrous for people so far. So I just thought I'd pass that along to you. If you know anybody in the wine industry, they need a hug or something.
Or buy an older vintage of their wine.
Yes.
We need orders.
Yes.
So we should all stock up for the film festival. 4 days of movies is going to take a lot of wine. I know, this is really sad. The wine industry's been hit so hard over the last 4 or 5 years. All right, well, we will look forward to chatting over wine on the 26th. Thank you, Bob, for pursuing that.
It will be great fun, I promise you.
So we have managed to come in good time. Are there any self-recognitions? I know Will donated to our club, but you don't have to donate money. You can just toot your own horn. Dan Erickson?
Yeah, I want to make a $25 contribution to Polio Plus in Doug Pyle's name. I ran into him at the post office, and he was wearing his Duck Dash t-shirt and his Rotary COVID mask, and he was out there advertising Rotary to the community as he was going about town. So I want to make that contribution on his behalf for his next Paul Harris.
Oh, thank you, Dan. Once a month, I sit in a meeting with all of the area presidents for District 5130. And it was really very interesting because to hear what other clubs are doing, and a lot of clubs are kind of soul searching right now, whether it's Black Lives Matter, it's the COVID experiences, the fires, people seem to have a need to talk to each other, and we're on Zoom, and I asked, are you guys doing these chats on Zoom? And they are quite successfully, it sounds like. And one of the clubs in Petaluma, and I'm going to find out more about it, they have once every 2 weeks an evening chat that's called Let's Talk About It, and they have a topic and they just sit around and talk, and it has nothing to do with an agenda, but it just sounded really pertinent to what we're all going through right now. Jay?
I put on the chat, the first one on the top is a link to a really great study on PTSD, community-wide PTSD. It talks about the symptoms and the cure and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to dig into it, it's really a great article.
Okay, well, thank you. I know it's on all of our minds, and we'll get out there one day and do a big group hug. And Tom Tievendale will get his Rotary badge, and we can meet in person and do all the ceremonies that we've been building up. So with that in mind, I would like to thank all of you for joining our meeting today, for our visiting Rotarians and guests. Next week, as I mentioned, is Doug Johnson, our district governor, who is quite entertaining. Following that will be a short board meeting at 8:25 with the board and Doug Johnson. And then the following week, the 30th, we will be dark and have our regular board meeting on that date. So unless there are any other comments, I'm happy to see Leanna, who want to come out and sit with you and have lunch one day soon. So anyway, thank you everybody for joining, and I will adjourn the meeting.